All right, this is Marcus, aka Fingaz, back with another episode. This is actually an episode of the podcast, which is called Syncrets To Success. I don't know what episode this is, but we're getting close to 100 episodes. And in this episode, I'm going to do a recap of the AES show, which was in New York this week. I was up there doing a couple panels, networking, did some live shows. So we'll get into that shortly. Before we get into that, check out the description of this video here on YouTube for all kinds of links, including a link where you can join my Facebook group. We're getting close to 3,000 members in that group, which is focused on sync licensing and production music. You can also check out some links to some resources that I use for music production. And I will include a link to my website. Currently, I have a sale going on if you use the code AES. And I'll leave that up for the next few days. You can get a
Yeah.
discount on all sample packs and workshops and things like that on the website. So before we get into everything, also be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. It's called, I think it's just my name, but the podcast is called Syncrets To Success. And the plan is to hopefully bring the podcast over to podcast platforms when we get to that 100th episode, or maybe shortly after. We'll see if I stick to that plan or not. But I want to get into these slides so that I can get these videos and images off of my phone because I took hundreds of videos and images over the last couple of days in New York. So let's get into it. Let me make sure. I'm going to play this video. This was me sort of preparing to go. I'm at the train station, leaving from DC, going up to New York. This is just my like pre-game video. It's a couple seconds, so I'll play this. Here we go. What's good? This is the Fingers. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm at the train station, getting ready to head up to New York for AES 2024. So get ready to get on the train. We're about to have a great experience. Shout out to AES. Shout out to Mixing Night Audio. About to have a great time. Let's get it. So that was in preparation. This is me getting ready to get on the train. This is the first time I've taken like a sort of a long trip train ride. This is about 4 hours from DC to New York. And this is my first time doing a sort of long train ride other than, just going from home to work on the train. And yeah, just getting to my seat and getting settled in and mentally figuring out what I want to do on the train. I did have a checklist of what I wanted to do with that 4 hours that I was going to have on the train. There was Wi-Fi accessible. So the plan was to get some editing done on some tracks that I was working on, to get some admin stuff done, some stems out. I was like, I have 4 hours, which seems like a long time, but it went by really fast. So here is a snippet of me. I was finishing a trailerization I was working on the train, doing some editing, figuring out what sounds to add and everything there. And then getting off the train in New York, 4 hours later. Here I am getting off the train. And as soon as I got off the train there at Penn Station, just being inundated with all kinds of sensory overload, light, sound, smells of the New York city. I've been to New York before, and I've been to AES before, and I'll get to that shortly. But yeah, as soon as I got off, saw the Empire State Building, seeing the skyline, seeing just all kinds of, I think that's the Empire State Building right there, seeing just all kinds of things and experiencing different things and just having that uh, energy just immediately hit me as soon as I got off there at 33rd Street. And immediately the goal was to walk all the way to the Javits Center. It's about a 15-20 minute walk. And as I'm walking, I'm passing by like Sam Ash store. Rest in peace to Sam Ash store. This one is closed. This was a music store that was open for over 100 years, I think, or 100 years. So yeah, over the last 100 years. And this is the location that I walked past. And yeah, you can see the remnants of what was before. So shout out to Sam Ash. Yeah, incredible music store. They just didn't stand the test of time. I see some people joining in. Thank you all for joining in. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. But I'm just sharing some quick photo dumps and video dumps of AES 2024 in New York. So again, continuing the journey to uh, in New York, getting inspired by the architecture out there, the skyline, as I mentioned. I don't know what that thing was back there. It looks like some sort of alien thing, but all kinds of parks, bikes, very open. It just, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but I really liked what I was seeing visually there. And it was a nice day also. I did a lot of walking, got a lot of steps in the last 3 days in New York. And plus I had this big bag, which is like my gear, my music equipment, my clothes. So I was walking and getting a lot of exercise. This is the Jacob Javits Center where AES was hosted this year. It's where it's hosted annually. I believe this might have been the last year it's going to be there though. But that's a whole nother story. But walking into the center, so all that glass structure there that was on the left, that is the Javits Center where AES was being hosted. Again, just taking in the skyline and the beautiful day that was out there in New York, and get the registration as I enter the building here. and again, getting ready to, I never know what I'm going to experience, but going into the showroom floor, actually, those are two incredible mix engineers that I just walked past on the left there. That was Chris and Tom Lord Algie. But I immediately walk into a SSL booth. There's Digico, Quantum. You start seeing all these brands. And again, I've been to a bunch of these conferences over the last few years, AES NAM. And once you go to one, they're all sort of the same. So I'm really going now for the people. The gear is great, the software is great, the swag is great, but the people making those connections is really why I'm going now. In addition to doing the panels, which I'll talk to in a little bit. But walking the showroom floor, this is the audio side. They also had a video side, which I'll also get to shortly. But just seeing the different vendors there. I won't play this whole video, but you can definitely check out longer video. I might post a longer version. I don't know. But I have all kinds of videos showing different vendors, audio software that we use in our music productions, things like that. And then, of course, just walking the floor, I would bump into people who know me or who I knew, and then have a conversation with them. So great vibes all around. Thank you all for tuning in. This is John Krivit. If you are part of the Hey Audio, if you're not part of it, join the Hey Audio student group on Facebook. John Krivit is also a former president, I believe, or CEO of the Audio Engineering Society. So always running into him at these events like NAM and AES, and we always have a chat. And he always does stuff on the audio side, hosting meetups and things throughout the city for these events. So shout out to John Krivit. Be sure to join the Hey Audio Educators group on Facebook. He owns that and runs that. Really great community there. Let me get to the next slide. So again, this is, let me pause it. So these two keyboards, these are the Esri. It's the XKey 37. I have actually the box here of the XKey 37. And the XKey 37 is a portable keyboard. I wanted to bring it with me in my bag, but I have the bigger one, and I was looking at the smaller one because I need to get the smaller one because the bigger one didn't fit in my bag. So I'm gonna have to get the smaller one. But XKey 37, I think the smaller one is the XKey 25. These are really portable keyboards. The size of it is really slim. I think I got a video here showing how slim it is. If I show the side of it there, it's almost, when you put it next to like a Mac keyboard, it's basically the size of like a Mac keyboard, if you have an Apple device. So I won't play the whole video. And then they also have a drum pad. I don't have the drum pad. I turned that to the side there. So the footprint is really small, fits into like a backpack. Yeah, I had to bring another keyboard, which was smaller as far as the length, but it was wider on the width. And I like these keyboards, so I'm gonna have to invest in the smaller one, or see if they can send it to me. Again, turn that down. More vendors, Auto-Tune was there, and I eventually bumped into IK Multimedia, who had those speakers right there that you saw. So I wanted to go chat with those guys because I do have some of their gear. I have the iLoud monitors, micro monitors here on the side of my on top of my other speakers that I have here, but I use a lot of their software. I like their piano verse. They have a lot of gear. So just talking to them, and again, going to these conferences for the people. They also have this Dolby Atmos setup featuring their iLoud series of monitors. So they had a station that you could sit down and listen to like Dolby Atmos mixes in their series of monitors that you also see right there. Shout out to IK Multimedia. Turn this down. They're playing some Earth, Wind, and Fire in the Dolby Atmos system. So yeah, having a chat with them. Let me get to the next one. This was, again, just walking the floor. This is the video side. So on the video side, which I didn't spend much time on because I'm more on the audio side, even though by day I do work at National Geographic in DC, doing AVIT. So there was actually some things that I saw on the video side, but I should have had like our video guy attend. But I will talk about meeting one of our vendors there shortly. This is Shane Lavin. I was actually going to do a chat with him. I think I'll do a chat with him later this week. He runs a company called Sonic Summit. They do music production seminars around the world. I think they've done some in Europe. They've done some in Latin America. So they basically do like these week-long or a couple days long events, like music retreats in these countries where you can sign up, pay like a nominal fee, get out there, and I believe food's provided, lodging provided, and you're learning from engineers who are out in the world, learning mixing techniques, production techniques, and things like that. So a really great platform. It's called Sonic Summit. I'll have to get the link to share with you all in the description. Also, this has been Big Ben Da Prodegy, who is also a Full Sail alum. I'm a Full Sail alum. I've met him over these Full Sail meetups during the pandemic. They were doing these virtual Zoom meetups, and met him on Zoom. And then we just started meeting up at these events like AES NAM. And every time I see him, it's always a vibe. Always great hanging out and chatting with Big Ben Da Prodegy. I'm usually the smallest one in all the photos because I'm short. Everyone is like tall. And then the first night, so I got to New York on Wednesday. AES this year was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I got there on the second day. And that evening, we were doing a live broadcast of Mixing Night Audio from the Cutting Room Studios. Mixing Night Audio is an incredible platform that I've been a part of for, I've been doing a segment on there for 4 years, but I've been part of it and been watching it since they started back in the pandemic, or I think it was in 2020. And I joined the squad July 4th, actually, 2020 is when I joined the team. And I do a segment on there showing plugins and software that you can use. I will also include a link in the description where you can check out that episode that we did live from the Cutting Room Studios in New York. This is the first time that I met the team for Mixing Night Audio live and in person. So on the left there is Nolan Monagold, an incredible engineer. Also, these guys are the producers of the show. And then on the right there is Jonathan Garcia, incredible mix engineer, also who does mastering in Atmos Dolby mastering. So these guys are producers of the show, and just seeing behind the scenes of them setting up the show, 2 hours, get the mic set up and getting everything set up for it to be live broadcast on YouTube. So it was incredible just to see behind the scenes. And then we're at the Cutting Room Studios there in New York. It was actually a party after the live broadcast. So setting up for the party, getting the drinks, the food, the libations, as they call it, the water, getting all the stuff together. Definitely check out the Cutting Room Studios. I met a lot of the team there. Shout out to Ash, shout out to Bobby, shout out to Lex and Kano. I believe that's all the people I met who actually run the studio there and are, managing the operations and getting things set up. So great team. They had a DJ set up out there. They had food going on. And of course, seeing some Mixing Night Audio family who I've been seeing virtually in these Mixing Night Audio meetups every month, but seeing them in person for the first time of 4 years. So hopefully this will be like an annual or semi-annual, a regular thing where we can see people in person. Specifically related to Mixing Night Audio. So that is, I believe, Jonathan Garcia sitting at the keyboard and the mixer there getting things set up for the live show, which would be happening shortly after this. Let me turn this down. So yeah, sort of the behind the scenes, they're getting all these camera angles set up. They're getting the mic set up. That's going to be my computer that I was using for my segment that I was going to be doing live, sharing some plugins that you can use. My segment for that episode was particularly focused on horror plugins, like plugins you can use for making horror trailers or scary music, things like that. So yeah, that's Justin back there getting that camera set up. So shout out to the squad. And then Ken Lewis preparing for the show, sitting at his station there, getting everything set up at the console. And this is sort of like a promo for going live. This is footage from Dylan. That's me and the Mixing Night Audio crew as we're getting ready the day of. And then this is me right there back in the corner hanging out. That's Ken Lewis. He's doing his 10-minute mix that he does to open up the show every month. So he's doing a 10-minute sprint mix. And then of course they have a new plugin, LOLComp. It's actually a derivative of a plugin they released called LOLComp. But that plugin has a lot of fun involved in it. So this one's a little bit more serious. It's the same controls, the same presets will work over here. It's just the other one is really fun. It's really gamified, the plugin is, and this one is more of the serious tone of it. So if you get LOLComp, I think you can get both of them at a discount now. Again, I will include a link for that also in the description. And then after the show is the after party. Cutting Room Studios, they just really winding down or whatever the term is after the show, which was live, and then catching all the behind the scenes, seeing the plaques on the wall, seeing the people hang out, the food, and just hanging out. There was a party there, checking out the different studios, different hangout spots, and hanging out with the team, eating food. Like I said, we were there for, and then there was another party after that. I don't even think I got footage of the other party, which was at another studio. This is Sam Champagne, incredible singer-songwriter from the Mixing Night community. I think, Sam, do we have any songs together? I got to ask her. But if you are in New York, definitely link up with her if you're looking for a singer-songwriter for any materials. This is the legend, Ken Lewis. After 4 years, I finally met him in person. We've talked on the phone. We've talked over Zoom. We've had incredible conversations. And I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this community and share plugins for that community. So yeah, and of course, giving me the swag, the jacket and the shirt, our Mixing Night Audio swag. So shout out to Ken Lewis. If you're not familiar with Ken Lewis, he has 114, I think, gold and platinum records, 60 Grammy nominations, I think, at this point, or Grammy, yeah. And mix engineer, he's mixed with, he has the weirdest resume in the industry. He's mixed or produced for BTS, Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Drake, I think Jay-Z. There's just all kinds, hip hop, rock, soul, gospel, like all across different genres. Check out his resume. So shout out to Ken for allowing me to be a part of this community and finally got to meet him in person. And then this is some footage from the other studio. This is Flux Studios, I believe, one of their rooms where they had just some gear. I had to get some footage of the gear that they had, the racks, the keyboards, in one of their studios there. But it was really just hanging out, meeting people, vibing. Having conversations, seeing studios, playing music. And then the next day was the official panel day. So that was Wednesday. I got there. We had the live mixing night, and then we did the parties and stuff. And then Thursday was panel day. I'm just walking through the second floor here of the Jacob Javits Center as I'm going down to our room, and then finding the rooms that I'm doing. I had a panel at 10:15. If I knew better, I know now. If I knew then what I know now, not to do a panel that early in the morning because I was up probably until probably got 3 hours of sleep the first night because we were out, partying and having fun. Um, excuse me. By the time I got back, took a shower, and went to sleep. It was like 4:30, and I had to wake up at 7:30 to try to make sure I got to the building on time before this 10:15 panel. The second panel here, that was me. The Fingaz is me, same as Marcus Manderson. The Fingaz presents Art of Sync, where I had guest Joshua Christie, who runs a company called Music Ronin, music supervision company. Joshua Rabinowitz from the Brooklyn Music Experience, also music supervisor for ads and stuff like that. And then Rob Schwartz, who actually owns a video production studio in New Jersey, where they can have it's called Peer, I think it's called Peer, what is it called? SEX1 uh, at the Caesars Pier, something like that. Rob Schwartz, but his facility has the capability to have over 120 film sets, and you can do recordings up there. You can do video, music videos, all kinds of things. So check out Rob Schwartz. But these guys had a panel with them, incredible. I made this slide like 20 minutes before the panel. Shout out to Canva, and just making sure. There you go. AC X1 Studios at Caesars Pier. He's also the CEO of Mag. Joshua Christie is a music supervisor at Music Ronin, and then Josh Rabinowitz is a music professor, music consultant, Tufts alum. He does music for ads and branding experts. So you can follow them on social media. If you are watching this video, just follow them, connect with them. They are big in the sync space. And of course, me as a moderator for this panel. These guys were incredible, sharing gems, their knowledge and their time. And just being in the room. And then we had some people, again, this was early in the morning for some people, especially those people who were there all week. But the people who were there got a lot of gems from there. They asked questions. There was someone there, I believe her name was Maria, who was like, how do I get on the how do I become visible to the right people in the industry? And my response to her was, you just did it just by asking the question and being in this room. You asked the question. You have three guys here on this panel who are people you want to connect with. And just by you showing up and asking the question, you're already standing out for these guys up here. So shout out to Joshua Christie here on the left. Next to him is Josh Rabinowitz, and then you see me with the glasses there. The next to me is Rob Schwartz. Those guys, shout out to them. This is Ulanna, who I met at a panel. I met her there. Actually, I met her the night before at one of those parties. We were just hanging outside one of the studios, and we had a great chat today. She had a lot of that day. She had a lot of sync questions. So I'm going to give you a gem. And thank you all for tuning in who are tuning in. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. But she had some sync questions, and the way she did it, and there's a similar story that I'll share that was at NAMM this year. But she had some questions that, we dived in on some things, and she was asking questions, but then she offered to buy me lunch. And she was like, hey, can we continue the conversation over lunch? And I was like, yeah, let's continue this conversation over lunch. Shared with her some resources and things. So something that small, like just buying lunch. I had two empanadas, which were really good. And we had a good conversation about sync production music. I shared some resources with her that I've been that I use. And there was a similar story at NAMM where I met someone. His name is Chuck, and he had some questions about sync. And he was like, "Hey," it was towards the end of NAMM. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Yo, I got to go to the studio session. I got to find an Uber." And he was like, "I'll drive you out there." And I was like, "Yo, this is probably going to take like an hour, 2 hours to get there." He's like, "No, I'll take you." And he drove me, and in the car, he was asking me questions about sync. So that's a great way when you go to these events. Like if you're trying to learn from someone, offer them lunch, offer to buy them coffee, offer them a ride if they're trying to get somewhere, save them some money. You just never know where that could lead to. So she, had lunch with her and answered some questions that she had about sync. So great connecting with her. She's actually an audio engineer. She works at the Hit Factory. So that's in not the one in Miami. This is the one in New York. So shout out to Ulanna for connecting and for lunch. Speaking of lunch, we were walking on the video side of things, which again, I didn't hang out too much, but where I work by day at National Geographic, we use devices by Cisco, and this guy just so happened to be at the booth. And when I saw his badge, I was like, are you prep? Well, obviously his badge is his name. I was like, yo, I've been emailing you the last like 2 or 3 months for work related things. So I had a great chat with him about, work and using Cisco devices at work. And this happened to be one of our Cisco reps, which is crazy. Just I wasn't there for work. I was there for the audio side and music side. So that was a whole different side of things. But yeah, then meeting Jimmy Jam, just hanging out on that second floor there. And I saw Jimmy Jam hanging with someone. And when they were finished with their conversation, I was like, I ran up to him, was like, yo, Jimmy Jam, thank you for being an inspiration. Just your catalog is incredible. Babyface, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Usher. And yeah, just had a great chat with him and met his uh, manager. So another gem for you if you're watching this. So Jimmy Jam was with one guy who I thought was his manager. So Jimmy Jam had to run to the bathroom or something, and it was just his manager or this guy who he was with standing there by himself. So I went up to the guy. I was like, "Yo, are you Jimmy Jam's manager or agent?" He was like, "No, I'm with the PR, his marketing team." I was like, "Yo, I would love to connect with you." So got his card to connect with him, and I got some cards that I gotta go through this weekend, hopefully today, to respond to people. But I got his cards like, yo, I would love to chat with you about, doing some PR and stuff, marketing. So that's what networking and building relationships is all about. So shout out to Jimmy Jam. Again, then I had a panel that afternoon. I hung around all day. My first panel was 10:15 that morning. My final panel was 4:30. And this was with the legendary Ken Lewis, who you saw. We did the live show, Mixing Night with Ken Lewis. Check out Mixing Night with Ken Lewis on YouTube. Again, a great show. I'll include a link in the description where you can check that out. Mixing Night with Ken Lewis. This was the 4:30 final panel of the day that afternoon before we got into the shenanigans of the last day's events. And that panel was incredible. This was us on stage. If you can see me, I'm on the left there with the laptop. Next to me is Ken. Next to him is Jonathan Garcia. But basically his left and right arm here, and then next to Jonathan is Nolan Monagold. These are incredible people that work with Ken on these big projects for these big artists, mixing, doing Atmos mixes. There's a lot of interest in Atmos mixing and what they did for, I believe it was a Donna Summer Atmos mix that they did. So there was a lot of questions and interest on the Atmos side of things. So shout out to this is Coops who took this. I stole this image from him. But shout out to Coops for getting this footage. And then at the end of the panel, of course, I like to have people come up and we take a photo of everyone in the room and just fun times, fun vibes. I see people in there that I've been connected with. I don't know if you see my mouse here, but there's a guy right here in the front, black guy with the bald head. That's Ma'at. I see him at all these events, and he's doing a lot in the production space to get people prepared for going into the studio and things like that. He does a lot of artist development. I see Ulanna there in the back, who I mentioned. In front of her, there's a guy with glasses. His name is Kyle. He was actually the chef for one of the parties. And then there's a guy in the green shirt you see in the front there with the hat. That's D-Trax. I've seen him at these events. There's Sam Champagne, who's on the left, right behind me, sort of, who's in the Mixing Night audio community. So yeah, there's a lot of people that I see at these events or I've been seeing online and finally connecting with them in person. I got some more footages of this, the guys and gals in this room going crazy. And then it was after the last day of AES, it was walking the streets with the team, the Mixing Night audio team. We were hitting up different restaurants. We ate at a place called Dallas Barbecue. I'd never been there before, but the chicken was good. I had the sticky wings. It was really good. The sauce was like incredible on the chicken. But yeah, I had that and cornbread and fries. And yeah, just walking, absorbing the lights and taking pictures and videos of New York. And then we were trying to hit up a bar, but this was like 11:30 at night. And for some reason, the bars that we were going to, they're closing at midnight. So we ended up just walking for a little bit and then ended up just going back, to get packed up to everyone could get flights and train ride home. But yeah, the city, oops, let me go back here. This is the final video. The city was inspiring. I definitely would love to get up to New York more. Hopefully, I made some connections up there, networking, some music business. It's just a 4-hour train ride for me. So if I have business up there, I can go up, 4 hours up there, weekend, do some studio stuff, some music production, some workshops. There's some things that I saw happening in these studios, some that I can't share yet, but some incredible things, and hopefully I can work with them on some projects they're working on. So yeah, fingers crossed. But New York is a vibe. I don't get up there as much as I should, and like I said, it's just a 4-hour train ride away. So hopefully there'll be more of that. So I just had to get through that footage, and then AES. Shout out to AES. Shout out to Mixing Night Audio. I believe AES next year is going to California, so not as easy to get to California from the DC area as it is to New York. So I would love it for them to stay in New York, but I think they're They might do the every other year in New York now, whereas it used to be every year in New York, but I think they're looking to go to California next year, unfortunately. So I'm going to stop share. But that was the gist of AES recap. A lot of footage, a lot of videos, and just hanging out with these teams and networking, building relationships, and especially ones that have been, I would say, people who I've known over the years, and finally being able to see them in person after building this online relationship through Zoom or through YouTube or through the screen virtually or even through FaceTime. But being able to finally meet up in person and hang out and vibe with people and breathe the same air, so to speak. Um, yeah, it's just a different experience when you get to finally bring the uh, online conversations offline and hang out with someone and go to dinner, have a conversation, ask questions. That's a different experience. And it's like, oh yeah, I could hang out with this person, or I could, travel with this person and do some projects with this person. Again, it's a different vibe. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you missed the intro, be sure to check out the links in the description. I'll share some links for some of the resources here, the Mixing Night Audio. You'll get some links for my YouTube, Facebook group, Syncrets To Success, where you can join and ask any sync or music business or music production questions. Again, we're getting close to 3,000 members, and I'll share some other links for some resources I use, including an AI resource I use to bounce stems in Logic. I got to do a whole nother episode on AI. I've really been diving in on AI, especially over the last 6 months. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for joining, and have a great day, everyone. All right, peace.